a great pleasure to be speaking to you today. I'm really looking forward to us working together on London's and the UK's green recovery from the pandemic and the just transition to net zero. As I'm sure you'll have seen, the Mayor Sadiq Khan has been clear that London's recovery from the pandemic must lead to a cleaner, fairer, more equal city with a renewed drive to tackle the climate emergency and create good quality jobs. We've been working over the last few months with London councils and key London stakeholders to establish a London Recovery Board. And through that, we're developing and have agreed a missions-based approach with 9 key missions to deliver a green recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is because a strong recovery and a green recovery are not mutually exclusive, but one and the same. We know that a green recovery will not only drive action to make London fairer, but it'll help strengthen our existing economy and jobs. Our low carbon and environmental goods and services sector in London is worth £40 billion worth of sales and employs nearly 250,000 people. It generates, in fact, more in sales for the London economy than the construction and manufacturing sectors combined. So putting the environment at the centre of London's recovery offers an opportunity to account for the economic challenges being presented by COVID-19 by bringing new investment into London, helping businesses to see long-term growth and provide decent, skilled local jobs. And to be clear, our policies aren't just about jobs in London, but they also create jobs across the UK. For example, our transport policy on electrification of buses is driving the manufacturing of electric buses across the country. And protecting and investing in the environment will also improve the health of all Londoners. A recent report from the CBI found that meeting World Health Organization guidelines for clean air would bring £1.6 billion worth of annual economic benefit to the country by avoiding 3 million of working days lost to illness. So the work that you're doing on the Smart Local Energy System Toolkit, planned to be published next year, is going to be a really useful addition to what is available for local authorities to build their capacity for local energy innovation. As you've mentioned, covering the key themes of funding and investment, data and digital, technology and infrastructure, and of course, crucially, people and skills, is going to help accelerate the delivery of net zero projects. We've already taken a similar approach in London by developing a range of tools that are free to use and on our website. And these include the London Heat Map, which you can use to find opportunities for local distributed energy projects, a solar opportunity map to identify opportunities for more solar power, and our building stock model just published, which will help with tackling fuel poverty and cutting carbon emissions from London's buildings. So I mentioned the Recovery Board, and they have been clear that the sustainability will be embedded in all of our recovery activity, particularly environmental sustainability. And one of the 9 new missions is a Green New Deal for London. And this mission is going to tackle the climate and ecological emergencies and improve air quality by doubling the size of our green economy by 2030 and accelerating job creation for all. The activities are structured around 3 pillars: the built environment, retrofitting our buildings, infrastructure, and making sure they're well adapted to future climate challenges, making sure they're energy efficient and supplied from low and zero carbon energy sources. The second is transport in the public realm, so more walking, cycling, more of a shift to public transport, electrifying our transport network and supporting more EV charging infrastructure, but also at the same time making sure Londoners have access to green space and clean air. And the third area is about green foundations. This is about supporting London's businesses and making sure that we have new skills programs to train Londoners in the new jobs we need for the green economy, modern methods of construction, retrofit, renewable energy, and the circular economy. But crucially also, it means finding new innovative sources of green finance to drive London's green economy. We estimate we need £61 billion to deliver on our plans to make London a zero carbon city. A second mission is helping Londoners into good work. And this is going to look at proposals to establish London academies to gain the skills and the new jobs that I've just mentioned. But to make all of this a success requires the collective effort of all of us. It requires ambitious action, devolution of powers and funding from the UK government to enable Sadiq and all of us in London to go further and faster with our ambitious green recovery plans. And obviously the big opportunity, the first one for government, is to support London through the comprehensive spending review in November. And whilst it's disappointing that this is only a one-year review, we expect and hope the Chancellor should recognise the importance of a green recovery, provide us with the powers and funding we need to achieve our ambitions, such as £10 billion worth of funding and powers just for energy efficiency, and making sure that we are able to set minimum energy efficiency standards, look at removing VAT on energy efficiency products, and making sure that our planning powers over retrofit standards are included. The good news in London is we're not starting from scratch. We've had a transformation really on an environment through Sadiq's leadership, and we're really well placed to showcase what a green recovery would look like. We're targeting, working with the boroughs, the shovel-ready projects and programmes, trying to scale them up so that we can use them quickly to deliver good quality jobs and zero carbon reductions, emissions reductions. We are clear that if we don't protect our environment and accelerate a net zero transition, the impact on our health and our economy is going to be devastating. As I've said, we've already started. We have our Energy for Londoners programmes, which has supported over 32,000 homes with energy efficiency measures. And this has saved over 12,000 tonnes of carbon, but crucially also helping people struggling to pay their bills through lower fuel costs for more energy efficient buildings. We've retrofitted around 270 public sector buildings and delivered over 850 solar PV installs, and more on the way through our Solar Together London scheme. And we've been supporting the build out of low carbon heat networks. We've been driving local energy innovations through new procurement approaches that are scaling near net zero retrofitting projects. We have a contract with 53 social housing homes, and they'll be trialling smart energy technologies like batteries, demand response flexibility and vehicle to grid, as well as piloting local area energy planning for smart integrated systems so that we can decarbonise quicker at a lower cost. Through our planning system, we're the only major city in the UK to have a zero carbon home standard, and through our new London plan, we'll be rolling that out to make sure that it applies to all non-domestic buildings. And this is really important because through that we've achieved carbon savings 37% higher than those required by national building regulations without any problems around viability. And of course, absolutely importantly, we recognise that we need to ensure a just transition, and we're undertaking research to understand which sectors are being particularly affected. And of course, this is exacerbated by the impacts of COVID-19. But also where expansion and growth opportunities in London can be leveraged. And this will then help inform the programmes that I've mentioned, like the academies. I've mentioned the environmental, the cost of all this, the 61 billion, 10 billion alone for retrofitting our buildings. And we know this can't come from the public purse. So we're taking a divest invest approach. First of all, we're encouraging systemic changes to our investment policy by London's institutional investors, such as pension funds, by championing the divestment of funds from fossil fuels and then using that funding to direct into climate and green investors. And just last month, Mayor Khan and Mayor Bill de Blasio from New York led 10 other cities to join them to divest their funds, their pension funds from fossil fuel industries. And together this amounts to nearly £225 billion worth of portfolio, which would is available to move to more responsible investment. At the same time, we're driving our own energy efficiency fund using public sector funding to create a £500 million loan fund. And we just commissioned the Green Finance Institute to look at new financing options, and they'll be reporting later this year. So in conclusion, I hope this has given you a glimpse into the range of work that's already happening in green recovery in London, understand our vision for London, but importantly, how local policy and delivery innovations are absolutely critical for achieving a net zero London. Embedding a green recovery will lead to permanent changes that offer a better future and a better city for Londoners. However, to make this a success, we all need to act together, local authorities and businesses and government. It's going to require lots of action, lots of innovation, but I think we're ready for that. And I'm really really pleased that you're all thinking about today in your workshops about the Smart Local Energy Systems Toolkit are really about how we can drive that local energy innovation at scale. So good luck with your discussions later. Looking forward to hear about the outputs and for the launch next year. We're happy to continue to work with you at Catapult and colleagues on the call to drive a green recovery that builds a zero carbon and a fairer future for all. Thank you.